to this edition of the Redneck Mystic Lawyer podcast. With us is our Redneck Mystic Lawyer, Sloan. Sloan, what are we going to talk about this here evening?
Well, I think the main topics are going to be of general interest will be the CNN town hall meeting and some perhaps other American politics of a local nature, as in inside of America as opposed to elsewhere. I would also like to mention that I have created a new blog. And have you got it where you can read the name of it, Bob?
I sure do.
Can you read the name of the blog first?
Yes. Late Life Reflections of a Tiny Kingdom, Birmingham Country Club Heretic. Heretic.
Yeah. Now, that blog is not going to be about a lot of Birmingham stories, most likely, but they're being generated from Birmingham, and some of them touch on Birmingham. So there's a Birmingham connection in most of them. But it's my same kind of, trying to get myself killed by a sniper presentation, okay?
Right.
But there's a lot more focus on it coming out of Birmingham, where I grew up, out of the tiny kingdom, which is over the mountain from Birmingham, where I actually grew up. I was born in Birmingham in a hospital, but I grew up in Mountain Brook, the tiny kingdom. Now, the URL for that blog is
Reflections of Heretic.
Heretic.blogspot.com.
Right on.
I tried to put that into the menu of my Facebook page with my other blogs, where the about part about the author, you're going to list your blogs and other stuff that's online. And I entered that URL and they rejected it as spam. All the others with crazy names, they didn't reject as spam. That one they did. And I could have taken that as a compliment. I don't know. Like when Russia threw us out, our podcast out of Russia before we were in the torrent system, I took that as a compliment. When the Russian Federation of States threw us out of all of those places, I took that as a compliment.
Even bigger compliment now.
Get back to this town hall meeting. I have this friend I grew up in the tiny kingdom. He's my only childhood friend that I have any relationship with. And I think he's the only person in Birmingham that I have an ongoing relationship with whom I grew up. And we were talking about the upcoming town hall meeting that CNN was sponsoring, and President Trump was of course, the honoree or the main attraction. And they had a gal from Alabama, Caitlin, I can't remember her last name, who was going to be asking him questions. CNN, I think she's their superstar host, I'd heard. And they had a hand-picked selection of audience, most of whom were, of course, Trumpers. And so he asked me in an email, what would be your 10 questions to Trump tonight? And this was the day of this thing was going to happen. If I was going to be able to ask him the 10 questions or 10 questions, I guess it was a 10-question form, because he said the 10 questions. I didn't count them when I was watching it. And I said, well, I said, fuck you. That's the first thing I said. But now that you've brought it to my attention, I will put my noggin to it. And here are the 10 questions I came up with in about an hour's time, because I had some other stuff, and I decided I didn't like them. And so well, hell, I might have to scroll down to that now. Won't take long.
The first one was, are you a good man?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was an unfair question. Well, here they are. See more. Yes. And I numbered them 1 through 10. Number 1. And I wrote these things in a way that if he tried to answer anything but yes or no, that would be telling. That would be a tell. So the first question is, are you a good man? I'd love to see him answer that question. Yes or no. The second question is, did you have sex with Stormy Daniels after Melania gave birth to her and your son? The next question is, there's a photo of you with your arm around Jeffrey Epstein. Is that you and Jeffrey? The fourth question was, during your 2016 campaign, you said you would build a wall between America and Mexico would pay for it. Did Mexico pay for the wall? Question number 5. When you were president, I saw a photo of you standing in front of a church holding up a Bible. How many times when you were president and since you left office did you attend a church service? Have you seen many photos of huge MAGA rallies and the January 6, 2021 assault on the National Guard? I have seen many photos of huge MAGA rallies and of the January 6, 2000 assault on the National Capitol, and all I saw was white people. Are you and your followers white supremacists? Your first wife, Ivana, was quoted in a Vanity Fair article as saying, when you and she were married, you kept a book of Hitler's speeches in a cabinet on your side of her and your bed. And sometimes at night, you pull out the book and read it. Is that true? How long on January 6, 2021, did you watch the Capitol riot on TV before you issued a request for the rioters to stand down? If you are elected in 2024, will you pardon the Capitol rioters who were prosecuted and convicted? Now, that was the question that was asked from the audience. And he said, yep, all but maybe a couple who got out of hand. I actually heard him say that.
He did. Caitlin Collins didn't even wince when he said it. That was kind of shocking.
I think by then she was probably brain dead from fencing with him, or euthanized or something. Anyway, number 10 question. If you're elected president again, will you put armed National Guard and military personnel in public schools to protect school children and their teachers from domestic terrorists? Now, I put that in a Facebook, let me put that up, but I put that in a blog post that was entitled, what was the name of that thing about the white rag? If you got that in front of you.
1 second here.
I created a post at the new blog called Rise of the American White Reich, R-E-I-C-H, comma, again. And I think I put the 10 questions in there. if I didn't. It was after the town meeting, but when I put that one on Facebook with a URL, a link, Facebook blocked it. It did not meet their community, it violated their community standards. I was astounded. So the Republicans, and I've had other posts after this too, where I'm dealing with Republicans and MAGAs, and they absolutely refuse, like Trump would have during the town hall meeting, to admit that their movement is an ocean of white faces with a few token other kind of colored faces. Brown, black, Asian, whatever. They will not discuss that with me on Facebook. They dodge it every which way they can. But there is in the law. In fact, I was talking with one guy on Facebook for a long time. I don't know why these MAGAs send me friend requests, but they do. They must not look at my Facebook page before they send the friend request. I look at the Facebook page of people that send me friend requests because I want to know exactly where they're coming from if I can. If they have no information, I don't accept it. If they look like MAGAs or evangelical Christians, I tend not to accept it. This guy accepted because he is a Birmingham native. We attended the same prep school in Chattanooga, Tennessee that was run by Presbyterian religious freaks. And we both attended Vanderbilt University. And he turned out to be a fanatic. And I couldn't pin him down on anything that had to do with Trump and white people. The fact of the matter is, the party of Abraham Lincoln, which was the Republican Party, was, past tense, fought the Civil War over slavery and to free the slaves. Now, there are a lot of people in the South will say the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery. Well, let me tell you, if there had been no slavery, there would have been no Civil War. So there you go. You have this rule of law, res ipsa loquitur. This guy, this MAGA from Birmingham that went to Macaulay School in Chattanooga and Vanderbilt, every time he got into a discussion with me, he signed off as, in a flippant way, it looked to me, with quoting some Latin phrase to further explain his argument, which I thought was wacko. And so I dropped on him a Latin phrase that's used often in the law called res ipsa loquitur, res, E-I-P-S-A, loquitur, L-O-Q-U-I-T-U-R. It means the thing speaks for itself. And I told him, he knows what it means. I said, that is evidentiary in a court of law. So you could put those photographs of the January 6th riot into a court of law, and that would be all the proof you need that that was a white rebellion. I also told him res ipsa is also recognized in God's court. And some other guy responded. He had gone to Vanderbilt also. That's why I had accepted his friend request. He had been born in Birmingham, was living somewhere else. He said, so there's no appeal from God? I said, well, you could file an appeal with the devil, I guess. He said, so if someone makes a mistake, that's it. I said, fella, you asked the question. I said, and you're filing your appeal with the wrong person because I didn't take those photographs of January 6th. And they speak for themselves. What's the appeal from? The photos are the evidence. And of the MAGA rallies and of the Charlottesville protests against Virginia removing Confederate monuments from public view. We are going back into the age of the White Reich, R-E-I-C-H, as in the Reich that was in Germany in the late 1930s, and then to the end of the Second World War in Germany and in Europe.
And you had written a post before that commenting that what really drives mass shooters is Freudian, phallic.
Yes. Yeah, they have they don't feel right about their dicks, their manhood. I mean, how many mass shooters? I know I've searched it that the women have been involved in mass shootings in America, but it's quite a small number, okay, compared to what's actually happening now. These shooters are men. And I'll tell you, if they felt good about their dicks, do you think they would be shooting those school children and their teachers? Really?
Nope.
You think if those rioters on January 6th felt good about their dicks, they'd have been there?
I don't.
What were they trying to prove that their dicks hadn't already proved for them? You think Donald Trump has a problem with the operation of his dick? How many women has he has he had sex with trying to prove that his dick works right, that he's a man?
Yep.
Stormy Daniels
paid to do it.
And he even paid women to help him prove how good his dick worked. And Stormy, she said, Daniel said it was pretty quick. And he paid her through his nice lawyer. What's that guy's name? Ended up going to prison and then turning against Trump. What's his name? You remember it?
Off the top of my head, I honestly do not.
Don't tell me. I can't believe I can't remember it. But he gave that guy money to get Stormy to shut up, not talk. Paid by Stormy's lawyer. They used fake names and everything to try to disguise it. And I wonder if Trump deducted that payment from his federal income tax as some kind of business expense. Because if he did, he committed income tax fraud for which he could be prosecuted and put in a penitentiary. I happen to know that because I used to be a tax lawyer. I have a tax law degree from Redneck U of Alabama. They even teach tax law at Alabama. I was in the pilot program, the first one they ever offered at Alabama. Me, I was in it 2 years. Twice a week, we went to class to get that tax law degree.
I think the lawyer's name was Michael Cohen.
Yeah, Michael Cohen. Well, of course, Cohen then turned on Trump and testified against him before Congress and otherwise. That, actually that's what it was. It was hush money to Daniels. It wasn't a business expense. Trump didn't want it coming out because he's worried about Melania. Melania, I can't imagine that Melania doesn't know what a womanizer Trump is, okay? It's just hard to imagine this is news to her. But I don't think Trump wanted the American public to hear about what Stormy had to say because he was running for president in 2000. 16. And that might not look good to all them people he was waving the Bible to, saying, I'm going to put your people on the U.S. Supreme Court, and we're going to stop abortion in America. And then he's seen out there, after he's present in front of the church out there by the Capitol, the marquee of the church, he's holding up a Bible like this. You think he ever attended a service in that church?
I
or in
very
any
much
church?
doubt it.
While he was president, and they think he was sent by God? These church people, look, they're so afraid of the Democrats. They have convinced themselves that the Democrats are communist, like, Stalin and Trotsky and Khrushchev. Who were around when I was a kid. Russian leaders. They have convinced themselves that the devil has infiltrated the entire
Democratic Party.
Right. And they're right. That's the problem. They're right. Where they fucked up was the same thing has happened to the Republican Party. Of course, Jesus saying, first take the beam out of your own eye, has never occurred to these Republicans and MAGAs and Donald Trump pointing the finger at the Democrats, and vice versa. Trump is possessed by a demon. Anybody that rubs shoulders with him, hobnobs with him, supports him, that shit is contagious, folks. It gets inside of you. And you'll find out about that, or people that have that had that happen, when their roll is called up yonder. Same about the Democrats. Looks to me that the Republican Party is on the very verge of becoming Nazis. Whereas the Democrat Party has already easily become the representative of the famous or mythical Foucault tribe, which I've described some on this podcast, I think, in the past. The Foucaults were kind of new agey, and they had a habit of getting lost all the time. And when that happened, they gather in a circle, sit down, and hold hands and chant, "Where the Foucault? Where the Foucault?" Now we have the head Foucault, Joe Biden. He's let the end of the title, what is it, about the border? Title 19, the law that allowed easy.
Yes, that's Title 19. Yes, sir.
Allowed people to get into America a lot easier from Mexico.
Correct.
Well, that thing has expired, or is about to. I can't remember which.
It's about to expire very quickly.
Imminent, pronto. And he is just now getting around trying to deal with that. Duh. Now, you sent me something the other day about Senator Kennedy. What's his first name? Is he named after
John Kennedy?
John Kennedy. It was a YouTube or some kind of video where he was in Congress. They had in front of them, I think, the head of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Actually, she is the liaison between the DEA and the FBI. Yeah.
All right. And she's appointed by President Biden. Or is she a career employee?
So far as I know, she's a career employee, but she's risen very high.
Yeah, but she's okay. But Kennedy kept pushing her to say what I didn't know, which Kennedy alleged, was several times, and this looked like it was in front of Congress, right?
Yes, it was in front of a Senate panel, Senate hearing.
And the U.S. Senate. And Kennedy is a Democrat. His dad, his uncle, I guess, he's which Kennedy is he the kid of?
No idea, honestly.
One of the Kennedys was president, the other was going to be president. They both got shot and killed after they came out against the Vietnam War. Another Kennedy became a U.S. senator, and now this Kennedy is probably two generations down. He's a U.S. senator. Ted Kennedy became a U.S. senator. That was the third brother of the two Kennedys that were shot and killed. And this guy looks like he's older than you and younger than me, John Kennedy. And
this guy's a U.S. senator from Louisiana, so I don't believe he's related to the
you
Boston.
don't think he's related to the Kennedys?
No, I don't believe so. He's a
Well,
Republican too.
Huh?
He is also a Republican.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
Okay, well, elucidate my ignorance. God bless me. He did have a Southern accent. He did not sound like a Cajun, though.
He was born in Centerville, Mississippi, and he was raised most of his life in Mississippi, but he has become a Louisiana state senator.
Well, he has that Southern gentleman kind of slightly tinged redneck accent. Okay, that's what I was picking up on. He surely didn't sound like he was from Louisiana.
Nope.
That's an entirely different dialect of English. And but anyway, he kept saying, "Can't you and Joe Biden get together and tell the president of Mexico?" And he knew his name, and I don't. I apologize for that ignorance. That let us send the U.S. military in there to deal with the cartels to stop them from transporting all these people through Mexico to America, and also transporting drugs. The main thing he seemed to be worried about was the people that were being transported by the cartels into America. Is that the way you watched it? That was his main concern?
His main concern that he posed in that video that I sent to you was he wanted U.S. troops posted to Mexico with the blessing of Mexican President Obrador to stop the influx of a drug that is used to cut heroin, used to make it far more powerful.
And didn't he also say to stop the cartels from importing people into America, immigrants?
He really didn't.
I heard him.
Then I believe you. I just didn't get that.
Yeah, I was like, what? The cartels? Or why a lot of those people are coming to America that are at the border now? Well, they make money off of that. They may be plants. They may be coming in to run, drugs on the street for them. Who knows? Anyway, it would be nice if the president of Mexico would agree to that. But you think the U.S. military is capable of going into Mexico and getting rid of the cartels? Would that be kind of like going into Baghdad or Afghanistan?
It would be. And those cartels are just as well armed.
You have been in Afghanistan, haven't you?
I indeed have.
You weren't carrying a gun. You were doing other things.
Oh, hell yes, I did. You know what the first thing that the guy told me when he bunked me down was? He said, here's a $50. He gave me 50 US dollars.
I know you had a gun, but you weren't in combat, right?
No, I was not in combat.
but you were surrounded by it, and you wondered when your number would be punched, right?
Yes.
All right. So you know what Afghanistan was like because you were around a bunch of soldiers that were having to deal with it out in the field in combat. And they did not win that war.
Definitely not.
And they were there, how, 20 years?
Well, you said that they went in on your birthday and they
October
left
7th, 2001.
and they left during 2021, so 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years they did not win that war. Sort of like they didn't win the war in Vietnam. Now we're going. This Republican is asking the Democrat president to send the U.S. military into Mexico to wipe out the cartels. Basically, that's what they're after. Except the cartels are armed to the fucking teeth. They've got rocket launchers. They've got dynamite. They've got C4. They got all sorts of shit.
Claymores.
Claymores, yes. Oh, lovely claymores. You know, those things that jump up in the air and shoot nails at everybody within 50 or 100 yards.
If you're lucky, just nails. Oh, yeah.
And of course, we know that the cartels own almost all the local police departments and probably the local militia, that is the Army of Mexico. So American troops are going in there and they're going to be surrounded. They ain't going to be no good guys.
Nope.
They're going to be, please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go. You remember that song?
Yep. Little Bighorn all over again.
But there was a song.
Oh, yes. Please, Mr. Custer, don't make me go.
I don't want to go. That was when I was, I think, in my teens. And that's what this guy in Louisiana, who ain't going to be there getting his ass shot at, wants the president to do to the American troops.
You got it.
Now, what I would do if I was President Biden, I would line the border with the American troops.
That would make too much sense.
Well, instead of building the Trump wall, why didn't Trump just pull all them troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq and line the fucking border with them?
Yet another question that has never been asked of Trump.
What if I'd had more questions than 10? I would have probably asked him that one. And so here's the other thing that Biden could do. He could say, all right, President, what's his name down there in
Obrador.
Obrador. Here's the deal. Biden likes to say, here's the deal. I don't know if you ever read Trump's Art of the Deal, but he does say a lot. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, President Obrador. I'm stopping everything from coming into the U.S. from Mexico starting next week. Everything. Mexican vegetables, Mexican manufacturing products, everything. And I'm stopping Americans from going to Mexico. Period. Until you stop the immigration into America through your country. A lot of these immigrants are Mexicans, and a lot of them are coming from Central America, and you let them come right through Mexico to America.
True.
That is on you. You've made it our problem, so we're going to become your problem. And Kennedy mentioned this, something like this, to the gal that's the liaison between the DEA and who? The FBI?
FBI.
He said, Their economy depends on us. He's got leverage over that president. Well, why did he ask the girl to ask why he hasn't got an audience with the president, Joe Biden, and said, look, just issue an executive order like Mr. Trump was fond of doing, stopping all Americans from going to Mexico, period. I mean, they stopped all Americans from going to Cuba, didn't they?
Yep.
They did. And stopping all goods, services, products from Mexico coming into America until Mexico stops the cartels from sending their shit into America, and until Mexico stops the immigration into America from Mexico. And you line the American border with U.S. National Guardsmen and soldiers that aren't being used to protect the school children. And you defend
that would
fucking
be
America.
sanity.
You defend America, you defend the children with the American military, which it's supposed to be doing. They sure wasn't defending them in Afghanistan and Iraq. We are being invaded. We're under an attack. And no president has used the military to stop it. And I can't wrap my mind around that. No president has told Mexico to go fuck itself until it deals with its own problems and fixes them so that they're not American problems. Mexico is the greatest threat to America from the outside.
Sure.
Now, I'm not against Mexican people. I'm not against Central American people. But America is overloaded. It has enormous internal problems. And I know a lot of those people, when they come into America, they work hard. They're in my neighborhood working hard now. They have visas, work visas. They don't cause trouble. They're so happy to be here. Now, maybe if we could send a lot of Republicans and MAGAs and Democrats to Mexico in exchange for these nice, hardworking people, that would be a good swap. But I bet the president of Mexico would not agree to it.
I don't think he would either.
You think he wants MAGAs in Mexico?
Heavens no.
You think England wants MAGAs in England? Or Germany?
I can definitely guarantee you that. Nope, on all those.
I'm surprised they haven't issued a ban on the visitation from America of MAGAs.
It's very difficult to get into another country, even if you've got your passport. I finally got mine renewed, and there's a ton of paperwork that you have to do if you want to visit Europe, Asia,
Right.
Anywhere.
Right.
That's not friendly to Americans.
When I went around the world in 2000 and also in 1995, all I needed was an American passport. Now, when I got to, I'll tell you this, when I got to Nepal, everybody had a visa. They'd been approved. I didn't. They just waved me on in. That would have been a shit show to go all the way to Kathmandu and not be allowed out of the airport. And then I decided I'd go down to Australia, and I learned I need a visa to get there. There was an Australian consulate in Kathmandu, and I went there, and they gave me a visa. And when I was so I didn't need a visa to get into South Africa. I did need one to get one at the Indian embassy in Durban to get into India. But you could go to used to you could go to Mexico with just a birth certificate or a driver's license.
Oh,
Or to
heavens.
Canada.
There at San Diego, you could just walk through, and so long as and by walking through, I mean they did not check you, and that's been in my lifetime. They started checking after September 11th, 2001, but before
Walking
that,
through,
I went to.
Wait a minute. Walking through from where to where?
San Diego to, I believe that's Tijuana, and
Right.
from
They let you
Brownsville to.
Yeah, I have done that. I have gone from San Diego to Tijuana, and they didn't check anything. We drove down there in an American car, a bunch of us, to go fishing at Encinitas for yellowtail. And then we drove home, and it was very loose and all that. And Tijuana was a big city then. It's a lot bigger now. And you have similar cities at Chihuahua,
Yeah.
Chihuahua and El Paso, and across from Laredo is another one. I can't remember the name of it now, and so forth. So it's a mess. I wish it wasn't so. It kind of looks like karma to me, though. You know, the American Southwest was entirely Spanish at one time. Hell, Santa Fe, I lived there. I learned there the town of Santa Fe, New Mexico, existed and founded by the Spaniards before the Plymouths landed on Plymouth Rock. I mean, the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. That's how old the Spanish were in America.
Oh,
Texas
yes.
was Spanish. Texas was Spanish. Part of Oklahoma was Spanish. Part of Colorado and Nevada and Utah were
Parts
Spanish.
of North Carolina were Spanish.
Parts of Alabama and Florida were Spanish. Okay.
Yes, Hernando de Soto.
We have DeSoto Falls up on Little River Canyon in Alabama. DeSoto, named after that explorer from
Mexico,
he went all the way out west and back, didn't he?
He didn't come back. He did go all the way down to California and South America.
Oh, he did that. Okay. Now, and of course, New Mexico and Arizona were all Mexico. That was a Spanish country, a colony, like Cuba used to be, like all the places of South America and Central America and Mexico used to be, except Brazil was a Portuguese country. And so there's probably a little karma floating around here, but sometimes you just have to draw a line in the sand. They just need to close the fucking border. And to hell with the hurt feelings of the tender-hearted Democrats, because America needs to get its own house in damn order. And it ain't going to be able to do that as long as it's fighting a war on the southern border, where the Republicans and the Democrats are pointing the finger at each other over something they could get together and fucking stop.
Agreed.
That's a war they can win with the U.S. military and the U.S. president that doesn't have his head where the sun will never shine. So where are we at on time?
We have 10 minutes left, boss.
Before the hour?
Before the hour.
All right, let's go back to the town hall meeting, because that was a real shit show, okay?
It was, and it may have gotten Trump reelected.
Well, it certainly got him the Republican nomination. And it got it for, he was going to get it anyway, but now, it's all over. And CNN gave him that for free. He didn't have to spend a dime on all that wonderful publicity, where he had the people in the audience cheering him as he probably shocked the rest of the world. The gal from Alabama, who was trying to hold him to the questions and couldn't, made no headway with him. He didn't even look at her much. He kept looking at the audience. Every now and then he kind of looked at her like she was, that woman that had sued him. And he said enough about her on that, in that town hall meeting, so that she can sue him again. However, he has now filed notice of appeal, so that probably has to be resolved before any second lawsuit with him would carry much weight, because if he wins the appeal, then that probably knocks her out of commission to sue him again.
You're speaking of the Jean Carroll lawsuit.
Yeah, that one. He went after her again, saying a lot of the same things he said about her before that got him a defamation verdict against him, and which he has appealed. But if he said the same things he said already, if he appeals and wins the defamation case, well, then, if he said it again, it doesn't matter, because he won on the same things he said before. Okay. But that'll be appealed to a federal panel. What if it's in a Republican? What if the majority on the federal appellate court is Republican appointed judges? Oh, well, it gets more interesting. And then, of course, the appeal would go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Where do you think that'll end up? So this is going to be a squirrely deal, him appealing that case. Now, there's another thing about that thing, that town hall meeting. CNN has been torn up everywhere, except by the maggots. They love CNN now. They think CNN is the dumbest fucking bunch of people that ever lived. They love them because of their stupidity, because they gave their Jesus all that free airtime, where he could say everything they wanted him to say, and he knew they wanted to hear. They're brain dead. They're lemmings. Looked to me like they were subhuman. However, how about CNN? Well, I told you the day afterwards, I said, I hope that CNN did this on purpose, knowing it was going to be exactly what it was, the shit show of all reality shit shows, and that it would scare the shit out of enough Americans who are kind of wobbly politically, independents, Greens, whatever, maybe even some Republicans, that they will vote Democrat in 2024. Now, that's a long game to play, but that is the only sane reason I can come up with for CNN doing what they did. Now, today, I read an article online where Anderson Cooper, who is a very popular CNN news host, commentator, was given the task of addressing the shit show on CNN, or addressing the CNN shit show on his program on CNN. And he said, I'm just going to tell you like it was terrible. And if you never want to watch CNN again, I won't blame you. However, it was important for everybody to see what they saw. And you may not agree with that, And then I saw reader comments under the article. It was in my Yahoo News. And they were saying, well, we had already seen it. We didn't need to see it again. Well, maybe some people did need to see it again. Maybe the FBI needed to see it again. Maybe it will tilt the scales. Or maybe something will happen. At Trump's age, hell, he could drop dead tomorrow from a heart attack with his weight. He is in the very highest of risk categories. Or a stroke. Or he swings his club wrong on a golf course and throws his back out, falls down, hits his head on the ball marker, and has a cerebral hemorrhage. Or some ET gets tired of him and just, I don't know, beams him up and sends him to Jupiter. Anything can happen between now and 2024. But if you're waiting on that, you're
Maybe
hoping
like waiting on it with your breath held.
With your dick in your hand, if you're a man. So, yeah, I'm glad I thought about that, because there is a long view of CNN was just clever like a fox. And, you know, I want to end with this. There's a story that is not popular, it's not considered politically or socially correct anymore, called Br'er Rabbit and the Tar Baby. And I was raised on the tales of Uncle Remus and the Georgia man who wrote that book.
Joel Chandler Harris.
Yes, white guy. And then Walt Disney came out with his version of it called Song of the South, and Uncle Remus tells the tales. And I think Uncle Remus might have told the tales in the book too. And there's a story of Br'er Rabbit and the Briar Patch, and the foxes always, Br'er Fox and Br'er Bear, always trying to catch Br'er Rabbit and cook him for dinner. And this is in both versions of the Tar Baby story. And Br'er Rabbit comes up with the idea of how he can catch that uppity, arrogant rabbit. And so he builds this tar baby and puts it on a log and puts a hat on it, a corncob pipe in his mouth, and a coat on his back. And they go off, him and Br'er Bear, and they get in the bushes and they wait, because this is path the rabbit is known to use. Sure enough, here comes Br'er Rabbit hopping along, and he goes, well, Tar Baby, how do you do, Mr. Tar Baby? Tar Baby, he don't say nothing. I said, how do you do, Mr. Tar Baby? Tar Baby, he don't say nothing. I say, how do you do, Mr. Tar Baby? Tar Baby, he don't say nothing. He said, Tar Baby, I ask you how do you do? And I want you to ask me, how do you do? Tar Baby, you know, so I ask you, I ain't gonna ask you but one more time, and if you don't ask me, I'm gonna punch you in the face. Tar Baby, he don't say nothing. Whoa. Ooh, his hand got stuck. Tar Baby, let go of my hand. I'm gonna punch you with my other hand. Tar Baby, don't let him go. Whoop. You don't let me go, I'm gonna kick you with my foot. Whoop. Foot stuck. Kick you with my other foot. Whoop. Both feet stuck. I'm gonna punch you with my head. Whoop. There it is. Trap worked. And so in the Walt Disney version of this fable, which was told by plantation parents, slaves to their children, all these fables had a message in them. Br'er Rabbit says, oh, cook me, eat me, do anything, beat me, cut me in half, knife with your knife. Whatever you do, don't throw me in that briar patch over there. Please, 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 don't throw me in that briar patch. Please don't throw me in that briar patch. Br'er Fox goes, I'm glad I thought of that. And he grabbed the rabbit by his ears out of the tar baby, and he's about to sling him into the briar patch. Br'er is trying to stop it, and he throws the rabbit out in the middle of the briar patch. He hears the rabbit hit the briar patch, screeching and howling. Well, when Fox is so happy, and laughing. And as Br'er Rabbit's laughing, he says, I was born and raised in the briar patch. Now that's the Walt Disney version of the story. In Chandler's book, the story ends with the rabbit still stuck in the tar baby, and the fox and the bear are firing up the cook pot to eat the rabbit for dinner. But could Walt Disney do a movie like that? Well, a kid would watch a bear and a fox eat a rabbit. So Walt Disney invented, or somebody working for him apparently invented, the getaway to the briar patch. There was no getaway in the slave's tale. See, they were changing the facts all the way back then and long before that. Good night, all.
Good night, Sloan.